our table is spread. Because I got some ideas, and I'm sure everybody here does too.
NESARA, GESARA is so exciting because it directly impacts you, me, all of us, our health, our quality of life, our abundance.
NESARA, GESARA in Russia, that's coming.
NESARA.
NESARA stands for the National Economic Security and Reformations Act.
And this crazy thing called NESARA.
NESARA, GESARA.
The positive development with GESARA.
Everybody wants to know when the NESARA and GESARA is going to happen.
This is the basis of the NESARA law.
Because everything's going to change. I mean, literally everything is going to change. What we eat, how we eat, what we think.
We're never going back to the system. Never, ever, under any circumstances. Folks, this is going to be the biggest transfer of wealth in the history of this planet. Do you understand?
The United States Treasury was surrounded by police cars and prison buses.
What I really think is that all of this is a planned demolition of the current system, where we roll into digital assets.
This is going to be a tsunami of wealth unlike anything we have ever experienced. It's coming.
Everything that's happening, the things that are about to come to light, people might just need a little old-fashioned.
The frequency of music that we've all been fed is going to change. Movies, the messages in movies.
I mean, this is more than a leak. It's a flood. And believe me, this flood, it's going to wash away all Apex's lies.
The subliminals, all of that's going to change. In fact, it'll be removed and some movies will be destroyed, never to be seen from again because of the programming that existed in them. And the programming was to disempower.
The cabal is freaking out to a point, hyper freak out right now, because they have never been put in this position before. So the only thing they can do, and it's only the foot soldiers, all the major ones have already been arrested, or there's a few they're going to arrest. They're going to leave a few arrests to public, but most of the big ones of the cabal have already been arrested and taken to Gitmo, and all we're seeing is body doubles.
We went from 5 years ago from a total cabal controlled world to a white hat controlled world today, 5 years later. Guys, that is warp speed.
You can see with your eyes, not only your spiritual eyes, your natural eyes, though, that the financial system is turning back into the hands of we the people. The whole world is changing.
The NESARA principles are common law to be implemented in divorce and establishment of peace. In other words, under GESARA, each country will have to agree to not be waging war and establish peace, as well as all of the following: private citizen financial privacy from their governments, currency backed by precious metals, that's to be gold, silver, and platinum.
We've had stuff like this happen in our room for the last 2 years. I've had people with receipts say, Mel, I don't have a student loan anymore. I don't have a car loan anymore. They wiped out my credit card debt. This has happened in our room.
We're already getting proof, friends, of right now with NESARA. GESARA is actually already kicked off. Just like we discussed with the rally, with the banner at the bottom, said NESARA, GESARA. That was kind of like a soft disclosure.
You're awake, but if you're not seeing all four parts or any parts of the four RDs running simultaneously, if you're not paying attention to Putin announcing the gold standard and he even announced NESARA, GESARA in Russia, that's coming. It's coming quick. I mean, they already washed everyone's debts. So in their country. So they're going to gold-backed rubles. China's going to gold-backed yuan.
This war was probably the best thing that could happen to get rid of the American dollar. It's almost like this war was planned. They're trying to, and at that same time, you got the Chinese and the Saudi Arabians trying to destroy the dollar by taking the oil and selling it for yuan. Like you see all this stuff going on right now. So that's why I didn't necessarily want to just read on one story. I'm trying to show you all these things. Boom, 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 boom. They're all like happening at once. They're all paving the way. They're making a road.
According to threatreaderapp.com, that our entire global banking industry has flipped to the QFS asset-backed digital currency, and that the US will be switching from fiat USD to rainbow USN currency with new silver and gold coins.
This very strange event has taken place where insiders like those on the team that I'm working with in our aerospace company are now being told that they can say everything. You have to understand, the CEO of my aerospace company has hardly ever told me anything.
We need to leave this place empowered. You understand? It's not good enough to just come here
and listen to speeches and go back home and get comfortable again.
Forgiveness of private debt, elimination of income tax and other government taxes, and replace this with a 14% consumption tax on non-essential items.
We're getting people every day now reporting their debt forgiveness with their credit cards, their student loans, and multiple other things. Some people have had their houses mortgages forgiven already.
People are reporting that they can't get into the IRS. IRS is down. Their car loans on certain websites are down. Medical debts have been wiped off. Mortgages website have been down. Student loans have been down. Social Security has been down. Wells Fargo you can access. So as Citibank, as well as certain credit card services are down. I've been keeping track of what's going on behind the scenes with GESARA for quite some time. So I'm really happy to share with you the positive news that things are wrapping up.
No other person can access your accounts, and no banks. Banks will no longer be in control. So I know a lot of people, especially the ones that never had a lot of money, which is the majority of us, they were real scared about the banks interfering, taking funds, and so forth. That won't be possible under this new system.
QFS has been running side by side with SWIFT, mirroring all accounts. Now it's peeled away from SWIFT, and we have now left the SWIFT elite central banking system. We have left it. As of Monday, 80% of the world banks already migrated over. So they have now come off SWIFT, which is the old banking system, the old fiat currency system, and they're now on ISO 20022, which is the Stellar Network blockchain system.
This is going to allow the average person like you and me to invest in stocks, to invest in commodities, and all sorts of digital assets from bonds, real estate, anything. All of it is going to be tokenized and available for the unbanked and completely decentralized. So you're not going to need a bank or a broker or a financial advisor.
We're now working off blockchain messaging systems. Now, bear in mind, this is just what the banks have done now. They've been working on back screens, trading sort of things, since the beginning of the year. Like the USN, which is a United States note, which is a rainbow currency note for the asset backed. That has literally been traded since the 1st of January.
Consider those test runs, so to speak, while they're working on getting this taken care of, because the deep state keeps getting in the way, trying to stop this.
But I'm like, fuck this, I'm trying to heal the world, I'm going for full disclosure, I don't give a shit who says what, and we're gonna do it anyway.
209 countries basically are moving into it. Half the world right now is on the gold standard. The Russian ruble, Brazil, let's see, China, India, half the world right now, minimum half the world has now gone to the gold standard.
Where over 100 countries have come together and they're doing deals outside of the US dollar, settling trade in all of the commodities that they control outside of the US dollar in their local currency. So it's not just Mexico, it's not just the BRICS.
But the central banking system and their so-called digital currency, no, they're not backed by gold. They have no gold. They're out of money. The white hats took away all of their resources.
It's because I can't go to sleep. So I need to get this off my chest that the financial system is finally being turned back into the hands of we the people. Yay!
Do you understand? Do you understand when it says a duty to step between a tyrannical government and its laws? They are coming for our children. We cannot sit down.
The Treasury was audited. It failed its audit. It has been taken over. Beautiful thing when you know about it. The banks are all switching over to the quantum financial system. US Bank already has. Last week, Wells Fargo.
That's a vice president within Wells Fargo down in Salt Lake City, Utah area. And he said, ML? He said, absolutely. He says, we actually just went through 6 months of training. The back-end system, the SWIFT system, is no longer active. And the new system, which is connected to the quantitative financial system, integrating the new system into the old system and working out bugs and stuff like that.
So the QFS ends all the corruption which now exists. The QFS covers the world's transfer of asset-backed funds and works it via 24 GPS orbiting satellites protected by the new U.S. Space Force.
It's literally up and running. The banks are all trained on it. They all have it. All the bank tellers have been trained on the QFS. They've all got it on their system at your local bank branch right now. So it's already up and running.
He said, we actually signed a non-disclosure, an NDA. Everybody at the executive level within these banking institutions have had to sign NDAs. He said, what I can tell you, ML, is we've gone through extensive training for the last 6 months to integrate the new system and get rid of the old system.
Everything you're seeing at the minute is just a movie. It's just literally pieces of the puzzles being moved around just to wake up the remaining few. And we could have gone ages ago if more people had opened their eyes and stopped thinking the government was actually on our side, when they're not. The government's paid for, the papers are paid for, the media's are paid for, the music, the movies are paid for, the celebrities are paid for, all to push their agenda. The pharmaceutical industry, it's all linked, all of it. And that is what is all coming down.
There used to be a time when you can actually watch military tribunals on C-Vine. It was c-vine.net, I believe. And that was under the Trump administration. And I reported about that then. It was like 2016, through 2019, something like that. Maybe like the beginning of 2020. And then it just went away. You couldn't find the website anymore. And I watched some of those tribunals as well as you. It was something that was reported. Now, we didn't get to see any deletions, but we did see military tribunals take place.
Those companies got caught. And so what they did is they did an accounting of all of their assets. They had to put a value to them. So they released so many tokens based upon that value. And they're tokenizing those assets for us to go in and acquire. Of course, Lobster is a wallet, so you can hold them there. It is being run by Space Force.
All little town was burnt and many of them died, and they were working on developing advanced connectivity technologies. It was about connectivity. And this person just advised me to trust Starlink systems because it was going to be the future of communications, and it would use a connectivity based on quantum technology.
Our entire way of life depends on space. From banking to communication and navigation, space is closer than you think. And because space defines every battle, we must protect the high ground.
This new security ID will immediately debit your old fiat accounts at your bank and credit your new QFS account with the asset-backed funds on a one-to-one basis. This is not exchange ratios. This is about your old U.S. federal fiat dollars going into new asset-backed funds, the U.S. notes. You will be prompted to go to the next window. It's all on a computer, and your existing funds will show as an asset-backed funds as well as a ledger balance of asset-backed funds. So if you have $100 in your old fiat bank account, it will show you now have $100 in your new QFS system account.
Because they know that the dollar is done. All these countries separating from the dollar, they know that it's done.
Well, everything has been exposed, and all that the White House are doing is playing out this movie to red pill everybody. That's what's going on. And it's going to get a little intense here, really, really intense. But if you remember that it's a movie, get your popcorn, don't get caught up in the emotions of it or all the distractions.
The banks are collapsing. Don't worry about it. We need to get off this system and onto the QFS. We are in the transition phase.
So just an interesting observation. Obviously, we know our dollar's worth shit. It's worth nothing. It's toilet paper, okay? So this is the registration papers for New South Wales, Australia. Look here, we've got $, $, $, right? This was 6-7 months ago. So this is yesterday. And we've got this symbol now. Now, that's a generic currency symbol. It doesn't mean dollar. That's just a symbol for generic currency.
It's literally all happening in the background, same as it always has been. Just bear with it. The minute you see the ATMs go down, you know the next piece of the puzzle's been put in place. Then all we've got to wait for them is to come back on again, and then they'll be on, and we will be started to issue our quantum accounts. So it's all coming.
To know is Basel III compliance, right? Basel III compliance, for the audience, in case you guys are not familiar with, this turns gold from a tier 3 asset in the banks into tier 1. Why is this significant? Because banks have to have more gold in their repository to have basically collateral to make sure all their transactions process. Because if they don't have that amount of gold, then they're actually going to go bankrupt, right? Like they're going to get liquidated essentially. So all these banks are just stacking up gold right now. And what a lot of people haven't learned yet is that these Indus domains are actually tied directly to the QFS. So there's indus.exchange, there's another domain called cbdc-tokens.org, and there's another one called quantum-system.finance. So when you put all of these 3 domains together, or collections, of domains and subdomains together, that is the quantum financial system. Mind-blowing. And this information is coming directly from Stellar, Space Force, Elon Musk, the white hat military of the world. These are who we're getting our information from right now. So it is mind-blowing.
if you use that analogy, and 4/5 of the world's population suddenly is going to get UBI money, and that's China, the South Asia countries, India, and Africa. Suddenly they all have money. Guess what it has to run through? XRP. And it doesn't matter even if you go and you buy lobster. That cash leaves XRP, goes into XLM. When you want to cash it out, guess where it goes? Back into XRP.
Changing the channels, and it's not going away. None of the channels are loading, and it says we better warn everyone with a capital A. A for April Fools, A for... I don't know. But nothing can stop what's coming.
In the second paragraph, it says, in preparation for the global currency reset and arrival of the quantum financial system currently running parallel.
We are moving ever so closer to the QFS. So this is the quantum accounts that we're getting where all this money is coming back to us. They have already taken all this money off the elites. It's now being redistributed back to us.
Dictatorship, they're trying to vaccinate us all and domesticate us all. This is very real. You can fact check this. And we're going to win this, but we all need to do everything we can. We need to finally and permanently remove these people from all positions of power and from all control of the financial system. And that is happening. That's why you see the crypto crashing. That's because all these crypto computers in the Ukraine have been seized. You see the stock market crashing because, again, they're losing their ability to launder money through corporations. You see, they own this small family group owns 90% of the world's transnational corporations, and they own the central banks. And so they take money from the central banks and give it to their own corporations and launder it into the economy that way. So that cycle has to be stopped. We have to prevent them from having control over money, because once you do that, the rest of it just falls apart.
The Evergrande report, Evergrande, Tether, USD, Bitcoin, and Ethereum all default. Evergrande audit report will show that they paid for election rigging worldwide for a very long time.
As we were talking the other day, everybody's so worried right now about living payday to payday and being broke. If people might look into their sovereignty, they would find out that we all have minor estates that are worth millions and some worth billions from trusts that were set up by the big G in order for them to profit off of and use to make the governmental issues work. And once those investments are found and they're converted into a minor trust and you claim your minor trust, you're going to find out you're worth millions, when this comes out.
Maybe tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions.
Tens of millions, hundreds of millions, some people billions, depending upon a career in the military or what they've done in their own career with master's degrees. Every time that you receive a promotion of some sort, there's another bond. And with that bond that's created, it adds to your minor trust.
When you want to push something into my body against my consent, without my consent, it is rape. Right. And this is medical rape.
No stock without source. The stock markets will be empty so that they can be blown up 11.5 on the manual. Like I said, New York Stock Exchange has been seized by Trump executive orders.
Okay, we're talking about the medical industry going bye-bye. We're talking about the ExxonMobil petrodollar bye-bye. Combustion engines gone. Folks, stop for 1 second and think about this. If little old Mel and a bunch of people like me are a bunch of nobodies, okay, like me, we're really nobody, we can sort of put the puzzle together. If we could figure it all out, and we know this to be true, when guys like Alex Collier, okay, so when he tells you the med beds are real, you can bet the shit underneath your shoes. They're real. So if you think for 1 second that little old Mel down here and a bunch of us in the room in the Telegram group, which we teach the quantum financial system, that's coming, we're never going back. If we all know about it, don't you think for 1 second that the medical industry knows that med beds are real? Do you think that maybe the energy industry, ExxonMobil, do you think maybe they know it's real? You better believe it.
Return of government taxes and fines, etc., to the people. Release of medical treatments and technologies that are currently classified and hidden from the public.
I'm wirelessly transferring energy to this light bulb. I'm lighting it up with my fingers. That's my fingers, that's my hand. A revolutionary new form of food that you can eat without even eating anything. You just have to combine super blue holograms with the Neo Q devices, and it's gonna start producing chi out of the ether. The ether is free, so the chi is free. You can eat food for free with this. So I learned to do it for myself, and I learned also to send it to people. It even heats up. That's amazing. That's amazing, yo! It even heats up. There are days where I don't need to eat. There are days where I don't need to sleep. The light food is phenomenal. It's replacing physical foods for me. I can just sit next to my chi machine, it produces chi for me, and I'm full of energy all day. My abilities are going crazy, I hear all the voices, I can smack people remotely, I can see remotely very clearly, hear remotely, I can also fuck remotely. We're making history, guys! I barely need physical food no more. I can eat physical food if I want, but I don't need it. I wake up and I stay just on light food.
There's not many, there's 0.00001% of the population that has really caught on to this. And virtually any company you can, or country right now, you can log on to Lobster and you can start accessing those seized properties under Trump's executive order 13818. It's just miraculous what you can do.
Inside SIPS is the QFS. Yep. And SIPS is an artificial intelligence private network, a virtual private network. It's a QFS 3D smartphone and digital currency that you'll be able to operate on any media format. It provides a pristine, clean integrity in the movement of money of funds from central banking to destination accounts. We're going from banking to destination accounts, which is very, very big. It will cover a new global network for transfer of asset-backed funds and will replace the U.S. centrally controlled SWIFT system.
You're having people that work for banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Visa, on, I can go on and on. They're leaving all these companies and they're going to startups for crypto. They're leaving their banks and going to payment companies. This is why I'm reading off this Visa story. I'm going to start again with the title. That's the trend. Like, everybody's bailing out because it's coming like very soon. They're leaving these jobs all of a sudden, I've noticed in the past 3 months.
They're like in a dead cat bounce, inserting themselves every chance they get. These bankers that they got in there, some of them that they may even retrain to run into the redemption centers, they end up stealing money.
Those funds were transferred to all 6 major U.S. banks, Charlie, and all 6 of them took hundreds of millions off the top. Each bank that had it. They all got caught, but did they care? Because the fine they paid was so much less than what they stole. Sure. And Wells Fargo is the last one to have been blessed with it because there wasn't anybody else to go to. And they did it too. They just got caught sooner. So the banker is not your friend, folks. They're out there looking out for themselves, and you got to look out for yourself. But fortunately, we have this new system on our side now.
And because it's all being run out through the quantum financial system, they already got these guys. They know who did it, where the money went, and they get it all back and they arrest that person. So when you got problems like that going on, that's why the process has been prolonged.
But it will protect all parties from corruption, usury, and manipulation within the banking system that currently is happening.
There is ongoing operations from the positive military of the world, what people call the Alliance, to clean up these dumps, deep underground military bases, from the dark things that were happening in them. Like if you've been in the NESARA movement, you know that we're going through a great awakening, like a cleansing of the earth from the darkness.
Stoppage of all U.S. military action around the world, the forgiveness of our debt, credit card debt, mortgages, bank loans. It abolishes the income tax and just replaces it with a flat rate sales tax. It forgives student debts. There's increased benefits to senior citizens. There is a release of patents and technologies, and this is one of the parts that's most exciting for most people, at least for myself, is all the new technologies that are going to be released.
Also, the unlimited funds for community, environmental, and sustainable projects. And, people ask how unlimited? Well, when you're not funding wars all over the globe, for one thing, that releases a lot of funds.
That took that down, the Georgia stones. The Georgia, they took that, they hit that. Actually, they used CERN. The White House took over CERN, and they used that and targeted the Georgia stones, took out one of the stones, to make it clear that that's no longer going to happen, where it says only 500 million people are going to be alive. That was the Wallace plan. Well, everything has been exposed, and all that the White House is doing is playing out this movie to red pill everybody. That's what's going on. And it's going to get a little intense here.
So House Resolution 8421 is called the Federal Reserve Abolition Act, or the End the Fed, in the Federal Reserve Act. This act was just introduced by Kentucky Representative Thomas Massie the other day on May 16th. Interestingly enough, the next day, May 17th, the chair of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, was tested positive for the COVID, and the reports are stating that he is at home and he will now work from home. We know that that is code word. Anytime a politician, Hollywood actor, entertainer, athlete comes up with COVID or tested positive, it usually means that they have been arrested and they're at the clink clink, or they're serving at that place for military tribunals, GITMO.
Watermark ballots in over 12 states have been part of a huge Trump and military white hat sting operation. And Biden crime family and ballot fraud co-conspirators, elected officials, bureaucrats, social media censorship mongers, fake stream media reporters, etc., are being arrested and detained for ballot fraud right now and over coming days.
What is all this?
It's breakaway civilization. The Illuminati running shadow economies all to fund a hidden colony for the elite in case any of these governments and mega corporations accidentally hit the doomsday button.
And will be living in barges off Gitmo to face military tribunals for sedition.
So we know that that is code word for that, so we probably won't see him coming out, and if you do, it might be CGI, computer-generated imagery, or it could be a clone or a body double, and that's just for those people who are interested in that type of news, because some people think that we're conspiracy nuts. So again, House Resolution 8421, the Federal Reserve Abolition Act, also known as the End the Fed Act, was introduced by Representative Thomas Massie from Kentucky on May 16th, and on the 17th, the chair of the Federal Reserve Board was actually diagnosed with the COVID, that sickness that shut down the whole world.
In a blink of an eye, those COVID cases just increased. Yeah. They told us take the booster, we will be free. Omicron queen, hard to catch it if you take the vaccines. When the lockdown never run, Florida, here I come. Omicron queen, now we share in the same strain. When the lockdown never run, Florida, here I come.
Before we go any farther, I've got one question. Tap or no tap?
No tap.
Excuse me, what is tap?
Water. They put fluoride in it. Learned it from the Nazis.
Theory is it makes you docile, easy to manipulate.
Oh, I drink tap water.
Yeah, I kind of figured that.
It's in the water, Claire. It's in the fucking water. This whole town's been poisoned. Slowly over years and years, and people are getting sick.
Come on, Claire, not again.
John Roberts worked with Bush Sr. to steal $9.1 trillion from the U.S. Treasury funds for NESARA. A lot of that is what goes into creating all the dumps when they do all the things with the little ones that I've been telling about for 2 years now. Justice John Roberts was also caught transferring $3 trillion to his own personal bank account, $10 trillion to Cheney, Bush, Clinton, and McCain. These treasonous traitors of Congress will have a one-way to Gitmo.
The Federal Reserve was used to giving out orders to politicians and had no intentions of being audited. However, after they were informed their offices would be raided under military gunpoint if necessary, they complied with the investigation. After reviewing their files, the military officers found $800 trillion sitting in accounts which should have been applied to the national debt. And contrary to federal government propaganda, they also discovered that most nations had in fact owed money to the United States instead of the other way around. These hidden trillions were then confiscated and placed into European bank accounts in order to generate the enormous funds needed to pay the farmer claims class action lawsuit. Later, this money would become the basis of the prosperity programs.
When the laws of this country violate and go against and contradict the laws of God, then that government has become tyrannical. They have to be overthrown. We have to revolt. We have to resist and do anything we can to protect our freedoms.
Part of the NESARA is also holding them accountable, and the tribunals, which I've been talking about for 2 years.
We were never meant to pay taxes. We were never meant to pay for education. These are going against the laws of this planet. And that brings me back to the point of how the cabal, which so many of you know of now, the cabal, the deep state, the Illuminati, they have basically, and that's for a different video, but they have hijacked Earth, which a lot of you know. And through their hijacking, they've created a very special, very brilliant plan, which worked until now, but it's now being dismantled from the inside out once and for all. It's being dismantled so deep that it can never, ever come back. So we're going deep. What we're seeing is the dismantling is going deep. So that 500 years from now, we're not stuck in the same spot.
And then also all of the gold will be repatriated throughout the world that was located and found in the dome under the Vatican. That's 1,500 miles of gold bullion that went from the Vatican to Jerusalem in that dome, as well as underneath the Bank of London and underneath the palace in England.
The gold that was confiscated at the Vatican, 1,500 kilometers long, 30 meters wide, 30 meters high. This was reported on Scott McKay, Dr. Charlie Ward, Michael Jocko, Nino Rodriguez, and took many C-130 plane loads in the hundreds, from what I understand, because we're talking, literally probably quintillions of gold, definitely in the hundreds of quadrillions for sure.
And that's even back 20 years ago, they were saying that, you're not going to get paid on the programs you're in until we have a new gold-backed dollar. And we got to get rid of all the bad guys. So they told us that 20 years ago.
In 1991, General Lloyd Swassenger went before a Senate committee to present evidence of the bank's and government's criminal activity. He informed them how the corporation of the United States was tied to the establishment of a New World Order, which would bring about a fascist one-world government ruled by the international bankers. So in 1992, a task force was put together consisting of over 300 retired and 35 active U.S. military officers who strongly supported constitutional law. This task force was responsible for investigating government officials, congressional officers, judges, and the Federal Reserve. They uncovered the common practice of bribery and extortion committed by both senators and judges.
And every single member of Congress is impeachable.
Is Canada and the USA getting ready for something?
Is what was advocated in the Gold Treaty, completely independent from the existing central banking system.
Elimination and the burden of debt so that people no longer have to work 40 hours a week just to survive. Allows people to pursue careers that follow their passions, their creativity, and get involved with projects that benefit the community, environment, and the people around them. Gives everyone the same opportunities. No one will be limited by race, gender, political views, country of birth, etc. Stable currencies and election integrity.
Blockchain technology is essentially this decentralized neuron structure that, like the brain and that the universe uses, where you have no one node in control. You have a decentralized set of nodes that fire and that respond and communicate with each other, and in synchronization they create the God mind, they create the one, but individually they are individual nodes and decentralized separate natures that represent the one energy. And so whether that's the brain or that's the blockchain, it's the same concept. And so before, we had these systems that were essentially the parasitic construct, the pyramid energy, an unnatural funneling of energy against natural order that was siphoning energy from the people of the planet and from the earth. And so this is going to redistribute that. And so on the tangible level, it's going to be giving the average person the same kind of capabilities and opportunities that only the central banking elite and the 0.1% would have typically had. And now that magic, that opportunity is available to the masses to work as one, as a decentralized, autonomous kind of a unit.
It makes all other transfer systems obsolete. This is not a cryptocurrency. It is a system based on asset-backed digital currency. This security basis is based on a photonic technology that does, get this, 3.5 trillion frames, not bytes, per second.
That's correct.
I believe you use something like this. The XRP ledger. That's right. The XRP ledger, which is a decentralized exchange for the world that can exchange anything to anything, as we are all well aware of.
Top 10 mentions on Twitter in the last hour. Look at XRP above all of these, folks.
XRP was designed after Bitcoin. Okay, XRP is really the true Bitcoin 5.0, and they because it used to be in the number 2 position. It was Bitcoin, XRP, and Ethereum 4 years ago. That was us. But because they realized that, once people find out the utility of this thing, and the fact that you could build, federated side chains, you could build NFTs, you could build other coins on it. It moves money at the speed of light accurately, never made a mistake. It could be amped up to 3.5 trillion transactions per second. We can't have that. Because if people find out about that, they're all going to invest, because they went to the banks and the banks said, no, go away. We're going to create our own Ripple. When they realized that the secret sauce recipe was so difficult and that anybody who was anybody in the talent pool was already working for Ripple, they went back and said, hey, maybe we can get into each other's good graces. Okay, they're done.
Top banks use Ripple for cross-border payments. Currently, here we go, the Ripple Payment Network works with worldwide financial institutions. It's not going to name them all. It's not going to name them all. We're not just talking about some bank of Canada and Israel. Let me repeat this. Ripple Payment Network works with worldwide financial institutions from over 55 countries. You hear what I just said?
That the XRP in particular, but these projects are reverse engineered Akashic records, and that they are an intergalactic technology, which is everything I've been saying, right? Since like all this started, that this is an intergalactic technology that was seeded here, both through, physical stuff, but mainly through channeling, and that David Schwartz, our favorite David Schwartz, I endearingly call him the Space Sasquatch, that he channeled this information.
This replaces the dynamic routing system that we currently have. It's a true physical GPS authentication between the sender and receiver. The artificial intelligence that controls this will control the transfers and independently controls the global network. The AI program will handle instant settlements, real time in seconds. And we know that because we know of a fellow that did a transfer recently, within the last couple of weeks ago, actually, that it was landed in 5 seconds as opposed to like 24 or 48 hours.
That he, and that's what the Law of One talks about, that when these pivotal pieces of technology and information and developments in recent times have been brought to Earth, they've been done so through channeling. Not even consciously by the channeler, but through dreams, through telepathy that they might not even be aware are coming from a galactic source, but that they're just getting as inspiring downloads, akin to like Tesla channeling his technology.
It becomes a bridge currency, so you can keep your little spy on me digital yuan coin, and we'll keep our dollar, and everybody's good to go because we don't have to hold your dollar anymore, which we know is completely invasive.
Ripple is a tech company in San Francisco that wants to help banks move that cash from point A to point B faster and more cheaply. Ripple wants to do that by utilizing a digital token called XRP.
What Ripple really is going after is the SWIFT network, or international payment transfer. So what you're talking about here is an upgrade of the international financial system.
I was told by someone 3 years ago that XRP was created to prevent World War III and that it was for the purpose of replacing the petrodollar. I was told that. Were they right? We shall see.
So with that being said, why would all of a sudden Ethereum-based tokens try to come over to the XRP ledger? Why would they do that?
Scared, ain't you, boy? What about XRP and XLM? I know there's a lot of people in the truther community that are pushing that.
I think that's the only thing that is probably not associated with the AI system, because that's connected to QFS, and that's going to be the new, quantum system, financial quantum system that is going to replace the current system.
So I got what I call a PhD in XRP, and I watched every YouTube video I could find about it, and I got educated on, XRP is going to be the rails of the new financial system.
So I just got this envelope in the mail. And what's cool was that at the bottom, it says I can pay with XRP. So let's try this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to punch in this number here that it says to call.
Hello. Welcome to XRP Phone, the fast and easy way to pay invoices using Ripple XRP.
The fact that the exchanges continue to not sell XRP, except for Uphold, that's our favorite exchange because it's the only one in the US that sells XRP. I believe the reason that they're holding it is because they don't want to sell it. They want a reason to not have to sell it, because if they listed it, that would mean they would have to sell it to people. And unfortunately for Coinbase, especially right now, and Crypto.com and a lot of these big exchanges, they're falling under and they are basically collapsing. They're going bankrupt. They're having to lay off tons of people. Meanwhile, Ripple is expanding, hiring. They just opened a new headquarters in Canada. They're growing fast. Uphold also growing fast. The only exchange that's selling XRP, right? So we're seeing these basically NWO exchanges, these cabal exchanges, start to collapse. And if they had to sell XRP, it would be even worse for them because they know what's coming. They know that this is going to be the biggest asset on the planet and create the greatest transfer of wealth, and they want a piece of that pie.
The customers that have come on board, it's because we're solving that real problem. We're changing the nature of a payment taking days to settle to California to seconds. So we now have well over 100 customers ranging from some of the biggest banks in the world to payment providers to the Western Unions and MoneyGram, Linland Pay.
You ask people how they found XRP, they usually have some kind of amazing, crazy story or synchronistic story, or they were just like, I just felt really guided and called to it, and it's not the same for other cryptos. And you know, a lot of people that are Bitcoin maxis or whatever, really into the other cryptos, will even look at the XRP people and kind of recognize them as being a more spiritual and devoted and passionate group.
So XRP, I believe, was created specifically as one of those major pieces of puzzle to avert World War III. And it's here now. Now we're creating a stable coin, which is going to do what? Add to the liquidity. If it adds to the liquidity, and XRP is the one that's scalable to 3.5 trillion transactions per second, and it is, don't even argue about it, it's already been done, all right? So we just got to crank up the volume when it's go time, and they'll let us know when go time is. You know, Southeast Asia, India, Africa, 95% unbanked. They're not going to be banked through the Bitcoin system. They're going to be banked through what? They're going to be banked through the XRP system.
Because what a lot of people are just starting to kind of figure out right now is Stellar is actually the centerpiece, literally the keystone of QFS. And that's a really big thing to kind of wrap your mind around, because for so long, I mean, for all of us who have been on the Q journey for years and years and years, you know, we've known about RB currencies and bonds and physical gold and silver and stuff like that, but crypto wasn't really on the map. We knew crypto as Khazarian stuff, right? Like Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. But getting to these ISO tokens and ISO coins rather, it's a whole new world. And the more I study it, the more I'm confident that Stellar is actually the keystone, even though we do know that XRP is the king, but Stellar, XLM, is the queen.
Really, with any modest, I mean, once you get past getting the XLM or the Stellar lumens onto Lobster, that's probably the hardest part. I mean, because when you're provided an address and you just go to add assets and you type in jp.indus.exchange, you can see all the Japanese assets in one list. You know, and you see SoftBank, Sony, Toyota, Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, so forth and so on. And you can just go and decide, well, how many XLM do I want? And it'll tell you how many tokens you get for each one of those. And all those companies look like they're going to survive. And even if they don't survive, like let's say McDonald's, you still have value. It's not like you just bought some randomized tokens that have no value. Those are attached to an asset. So the asset has a value. So you'll be able to cash those out.
He wrote, XRP must be scalable to accommodate 7.5 billion people. This quote provides insight into the scale of Ripple's ambitions to be used by the global population.
The AI program will handle instant settlements, real time in seconds. It assigns a digital number to each fiat dollar, fiat euro, and fiat yen or won that currently exist in every bank account all over the world. The digital numbers are monitored in real time. The physical GPS location between the sender and the receiver will be set up to provide an unbreakable security in regard to who sent it and who received it.
Universal Guardian Alliance, also which consists of the Ashtar Command, the Galactic Federation, part of the Intergalactic Federation of all galactic federations, are tuned into that system also, because it has to do with doing things off planet. The secret space program was already, doing a lot of exchange, commercial commerce off planet, and so that's why the digital currency and everything is connected. The ones that the cabal that can't control, that's all part of that system, which we're going to be accessing very soon. The public is, the Space Force is already plugged into all that.
This is very important. The sovereign currency of the U.S., the Republic of the U.S., is the USN, the United States note. This is in the Gold Treaty and also given to my contact by Interpol back in 2014. Now, the artificial intelligence will be applied all across the QFS system. It will work with the CIPS system. Now, what's that, people? Were you listening? The cross-border interbank payment system in regard to language processing across the entire user base. This means the entire account holding base around the world. Everybody will be on it. One base.
Free energy, alternative technologies, and new forms of transport and ways of doing things. So they're going to release the patents as member above. They're going to release hidden technologies. That'll be free energy and anti-gravity, so it changes the transportation.
Now we can disclose everything. So if you go to thedisclosure.com, I have that movie where I'm showing you the prototype of a device that takes 4 AA batteries and you get 750 volts out of it. If you want to see free energy working, go to thedisclosure.com. Because the disclosure did already happen. The DIA dropped 154 pages of declassified documents based upon their own statement of admission as analyses of crash retrieval wreckage of UFOs.
That thing that you found in New Mexico. That was that. Not the spaceship. Was that Roswell, New Mexico, yeah.
Regardless of what you may have read in the tabloids, there have never been any spacecraft.
That's not entirely accurate.
Week 2, we dive into anti-gravity. You will learn how it works.
I don't understand. Where does all this come from? How do you get funding for something like this? You don't actually think they spend $20,000 on a hammer, $30,000 on a toilet seat, do you?
We are going to have technology that will eliminate our need for fossil fuel, will eliminate our need to pay for energy. And it's happening a lot sooner than we think. And that's what my company is working on. And that's why I'm so motivated to do this.
These prototypes we're loaning you will make what you've been flying look like used Miatas. Forget about the price tag, which is obscene, of course. The anti-gravity engines alone produce enough torch to light up Vegas for a week.
There'll be 6,000 patents. Free energy technology. 6,000 patents. Free energy technology, reverse osmosis of the soil, air, sea, the waterways, the rivers.
Week 3 is called Working Anti-Gravity Systems, and this is where we now actually get into the practical details of anti-gravity. This science is very, very exciting, and in week 4, you will not only see what the Navy revealed, but then you'll get the backstory as to why those Navy patents work from an insider who's actually worked at many of these secret facilities himself.
Now it's in the movies nonstop, and people think it's fiction, but actually it's real. And I think it's raising the consciousness of people so they start to understand. And at some point they're going to say, oh, by the way, all this was real, and people are not going to be as shocked.
Time travel exists. This world, our world, everything has already been changed. That's why we're gonna put the genie back in the bottle.
Dad?
Dad.
And LiDAR is the sensor that's being used to do that.
Then in week 5, we have Atlantis, pyramids, and extraterrestrials. And so that's the end of the 5 weeks with Ben. After the fact, I discovered I really need to do another one, so I did week 6. And week 6 is where I take all of these amazing new things that I've learned from Ben and apply it to the principle of biological anti-gravity and levitating saints. So we go through different types of surprising scientific evidence that actually proves that levitation does occur in nature. This is true. This is real. And my new insider is going to blow your mind. Sign up today at thedisclosure.com.
That podcast is filling your head with garbage. You should be in school.
They taught them compliance. They stopped teaching them to think. Analytical thought went out the window.
Companies and projects will focus on the community, environment, and social impacts instead of company profits and shareholder returns. Minimal government monitoring of citizens and their financial activity removes the threat of potential war and allows everyone to cooperate harmoniously.
They're also known as the banksters because they're really like very highly glorified gangsters wearing suits. So what these 13 families did in 1913 with they passed an act to bring the Federal Reserve into existence, and the Federal Reserve is the money supplier of the United States. So whenever money needs to be printed, it is actually, most people don't know this, the Federal Reserve is not a government-owned organization. It's a privately owned organization, and it's owned by people who are filthy rich beyond measure. And like we were discussing earlier, all of these politicians and people that we see in the media are just the puppets who enact the commands of the cabal. The cabal themselves are like the Wizard of Oz. They hide behind the curtains and we don't even know them. Like they say, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was to pretend he doesn't exist. And if people don't even know that there's a hidden enemy, what are they going to fight against, right? They don't even know that these people exist. They fight against each other. Exactly.
That's the line. When they went after the children, they crossed that line, and there are beings beyond your imagination that are stepping in, and the divine feminine, and you don't mess with the children. And they are stepping in right now, like Mary, Kuan Yin.
The old world mentality is compete, control, conquer. It's all fear-based. This new reality we're creating is love-based. And in a love-based reality, it's all about cooperation. I tell people all the time, we have to figure out how to cooperate. We all have to find a leader within ourselves, and then we teach other people how to be the leader within themselves. That's what it's for. We can't wait around for a leader to do it for us. It's in every one of us.
And what court says this? And another court says that. We have to hold them all accountable. They want to rewrite the Constitution? I'm ready with my pen, because there's some changes that needs to be made in this country.
Of course, if you're found guilty for trafficking in humans as per the executive order that Trump signed into law, then all of your properties will be seized. So that would include the Cheney, the Bush, Clinton, the McCain again, and as well as Chief Justice Roberts.
Because many of these government buildings and structures, these mansions that belong to these beings, all of that will be used to get homeless off the street.
It will facilitate the adaptation and will evolve over time by recognizing the new behavior and recommending appropriate banking responses. You will actually be able to do your banking on your phone within the self-contained system. You can do your banking on your desktop, your mobile, or your handheld.
So you're going to be able to open your Lobster app just like you can right now, find these stocks, swap some XLM into it, and then you've got it. And then if you're at the grocery store and you're short, you know, like you don't have enough cash, you swap some of your stocks, like say you got some SpaceX stock or you got some Ford stock or whatever, right? Or it's gold, you have digital gold, right? Like that one I was just telling you about. You swap that back into an XLM or a stable coin, whatever they take, and then you pay for it at the grocery store because that's what they're going to start taking this.
So CoinFlip is an ATM-like device, but instead of sticking in a debit card or a credit card and pulling out fiat cash if you're in the US, you actually take your green fiat money and feed it into this machine, and it literally converts your fiat money into XLM, which we all know now is silver tokens, and then can actually be loaded into your Lobster account directly from your QR code. So it's pretty amazing that you can put in fiat, get XLM, and it's immediately loaded on in your Lobster wallet. Immediately.
Everything is at your hands, at immediate disposal. And so you can choose however you want to use your money. And from what we're hearing, no taxes. So you can just keep going and going and going and decide where you want to sit in this. How long do I want to play this game?
And you're going to be able to move it around so quickly, so fluid, and that's going to be one of the benefits of this quantum financial system. And that's why it is a quantum financial system, not just because the transactions are nearly quantum and nearly instant, but because of the way it's going to allow energy to move around the planet. It's going to completely reshape the way that intentional conscious energy is distributed. And
it's very interesting how it's all going to tie together, and yet it's going to give us more freedom and independence than we've ever known. Because when we're on a real monetary system and not a debt system.
Basically what we're seeing here is the separation of the dollar so well planned out that it's almost unfathomable what's happening, okay? So if they can only pay for gas in rubles, right, to Russia, Europe, what does that mean? They're going to need a global reserve currency that's fully exchangeable to any currency, commodity, and asset.
The old stock market was basically set up by the cabal, so they can control peaks and valleys, they can flood the market, they can do price manipulation, and the little guy always got it right in the keister. Lobster is set up so really anyone can enter the field. And the beautiful thing of that is it doesn't matter. I've said this before. It doesn't matter their monetary situation. Even if they had $20, they can invest in their future.
This goes to back what I said. Sooner or later, we're all gonna be on a level playing field because that's the only way it's fair.
We know of kids right now that have started their own wallets in Lobster, and they're now investing in their own future. They're actually out doing garage sales of their old toys that they don't even use anymore. And the nice thing about that is that $20, $30, they're seeing what they can get. I mean, literally for XLM right now, which is how you get into Lobster, is you open, you can get an app, and then you buy Stellar Lumens, which is XLM. They're going to be one of the very, very big silver-backed assets. So you buy that and you swap it or trade it for these new digital assets that are becoming available. I'm trying not to say stocks, so now you got me going into this. But for 23 cents right now, you can hop on to the Japanese Indus.exchange for the seized assets, and I'm sure that right now you can get 400 or 500 million of their seized assets for 23 cents.
Now you've got gold that goes all the way back to Solomon's gold, and you've got different funds and trusts that have been building interest over all these years. Can you imagine having a document? Just even think about a treasury bond from the United States. You pay $28 for it, and in 10 years, it's worth 50. But what is it worth in 400 years? And that's what some of these bonds are. And the money is astronomical. I heard of one trust that had like 375 zeros, and you're just going, that's incomprehensible to us.
The biggest one I had heard had 70, and now you're saying there's one that has 375 zeros. Yeah, mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing numbers, but it will be redistributed, and it's a process.
And you can buy these tokens so cheap, 7 zeros and a 1 type stuff. So you buy those assets by doing a swap assets. You're swapping your XLM for that asset, and there's so much there. There's gold, silver, there's real estate, there's stocks, and you have to think in these terms. The White Hats have done bundles of assets based on their asset class. and it's all seized from the elites. So you can literally buy a real estate asset or gold. I mean, the big one at the moment everyone's talking about is sovereign gold bonds.
I just want to throw this in, Mel, to give you an idea how awesome this quantum system and the blockchain technology. One of the test runs, they nailed 2 people that tried to steal 18 seconds and 20 seconds. Doesn't say how long it took for the SWAT team to get to the house.
I don't care how you look at it. If you're in corporate America, you're imprisoned by your lifestyle. If you're in the government, you're imprisoned by your job with good benefits. You understand? If you are on subsidy, you're imprisoned by their benefits. We have to get out their system, pull yourself out, pull your dollars out, and level it.
So the quantum system is the liquidity. The gold and silver are the assets that give that liquidity value. And it's all merging together so that we are no longer going to be on a fiat system where they can just print as much money as they want. I mean, why do we have to pay taxes if they can print all they want? That doesn't make any sense to anybody.
Now, with the prosperity, what I was shown very clearly a year ago is that in the beginning, it's going to be by invitation only. And we might have talked about this a little bit. The reason it's by invitation only is specifically to make sure it doesn't end up in the same old hands. They want to make sure that the people who get it are people who have been cleared for humanitarian purposes only. Because right now, if it floods the marketplace, the way the systems currently exist, it's going to end up right back in the same hands. And so the systems that currently exist for managing money have to be imploded first before all of humanity gets the money, so that it doesn't end up back in those same old systems.
Right now, the dominoes are falling. They're being put into place. It's all ready to happen virtually overnight. But the people aren't ready.
The people aren't ready.
We need more people standing up.
And Siman and I have left the Matrix in the last few years, and the transition has been absolutely magical.
It's like 6 p.m. haven't eaten any physical foods. I eat out of pleasure. This is a huge quality of life change where you don't need to go to the grocery, don't need to cook, don't need to unpack stuff. So I just have to uncurse this place. This place is completely uncursed. When people come in here, they have a huge surge in air. They tell me, whoa, I feel amazing here. What's going on? Light food is being produced and I'm grounded and I'm radiating love.
When I say we're on God's payroll, what I mean is we are not dependent on other human beings or other systems or the government to sustain our living on this planet. We are directly supported by Prime Creator.
This is life-changing and I'm not going anywhere, guys. So yeah, keep bringing people to Telegram, and I'm gonna keep documenting this, because this is a huge moment in history where we can get over the physical food thanks to the eater.
And we are seeing the first trickle of NESARA, GESARA, coming into our lives. We started seeing this 2 years ago, and it's completely freed us.
And we need to remember how powerful we are as unified voices and unified armies, that is, armies of light and armies of love. And we just start creating new reality. We don't have to wait for them to do it for us.
I thought, what the heck is that? So I went and dug it up, and sure enough, according to the IRS tax code, it literally is a faith-based organization. And I went, that's a no-brainer. Okay, fabulous. So what I did is we created a ministry called Divine Living Ministries is what it's called. And underneath that, we have 3 projects. None of those are reportable to the IRS. None of those are reportable to the FDA. None of those are covered under the CDC. None of it. Transactions are not covered. Barter trades are not covered under it. Nothing. So having gained my sovereignty now means I have a completely new way of doing interactions, transactions as it may be. I can do it in any capacity that I want to.
We must be informed, and we must be motivated to act, and we must act. Teach your children. Get them involved so they can stand, so that when someone approaches them, they can stand and know what they're talking about. You understand me? Educate yourself so that you know how to resist.
So what would that really look like in like real terms? So here's how I use it. My friend Marianne comes to me and she says, hey, I want to use some of the modalities in your health and healing center. I say, great. Here's the application to become a private member. She completes the application. I say, fabulous. We complete the transaction, no matter whatever therapy it is or whatever. She agrees to pay me for the exchange, right? And then she leaves. Then I treat 10 or 15 other people like that. And then what happens? What do I do when the FDA comes to my door, or the CDC or the medical board comes to my door and says, hey, we heard you've been treating these 10 people. What I get to say is, this is a private membership association. You are not a member. You need to leave.
Because I could buy anything from any of these people directly peer-to-peer. I could send the money directly to their wallet. The central bank digital currency cannot come and put a gun to my head and say, hey, you got to use a central bank digital currency, I'm going to tell them, hey, F off. I don't need you. Why do I need a bank when I've just become my own bank?
And I close the door. That's it. They're not a member. They have no say, no input, no jurisdiction, no nothing. Oh, and by the way, since I'm sovereign and you have now entered into my jurisdiction on land and soil, and it's marked as no trespassing, you now are held underneath common law guidelines, laws, God's law, right, for trespassing because you now have harmed me. So this totally opens up a brand spanking new way to do business, and all of us should be doing this.
Under common law, if there's no damage done or harm done, then there's no violation of the law. This would eliminate millions of laws, which are used to control the masses and protect corrupt politicians.
Money will not be important. You won't need to think about it. So imagine, this is what you need to sink in. How will you do, and what will you do going forward? What would you like to do? What have you always wanted to do? Because there is going to be 6,000 new technologies that have been suppressed. Test the free energy everywhere. You won't have energy bills. Your food's going to be dirt cheap. There's only going to be tax on new cars. And even that's, you're not even going to notice that. It's only 14.5%. Anything new, anything second-hand, there's no tax. There is no tax on food and no tax on medicine. So start thinking about what you would like to do and where you would like to do it. How you would like to help people. How you would like to contribute to the collective, because that's where it's going.
If you took $10 of a US note to buy something in Russia, it will go from a $10 US note to a $10 SDR to a $10 Russian ruble. This will allow you to purchase all around the world. We are talking about parity of all currencies, and this is how they will do it. The cross-border interbank payment system virtual currency will be based around the QFS VPN and will be used for the purchase of goods and services all around the world.
So their on-demand liquidity service uses the digital asset XRP to source liquidity during cross-border transactions as an alternative to traditional systems. You have banks, they're now admitting, this isn't an article written by Ripple, this is an article in a Bitcoin website. Bitcoinist is the name of the website, and guess whose ass they're kissing? Ripple.
The new monies will not have satanic symbols on them or logos of the Democratic National Convention or Democratic Party, because those are all satanic as well. And the old SWIFT system will be replaced by the QFS, or the quantum financial system.
The people that usurped it are going to be taken out. We're going to go back to universal law, back to the Constitution. We're going to go back to the Republic, and all this other nonsense is going to come to an end. That's the end game of where we're going. And a lot of people that are involved in that, you're going to be shocked when you find out who are the good guys and who are the bad guys. All you have to do is watch mainstream news and flip it. And they're using sympathy, and they're using race card, and they're using gender card, and they're using every card they can to get people divided and involved. And that's happening on a big scale.
They're in over 55 countries, working with banks globally, running ODL on the private ledger. Okay, you get what I'm talking about? They're using that private ledger every fucking day. They're proving that it works billions of times.
No such thing as coincidence.
So NESARA will forgive all debts, credit cards, mortgages, and other bank debts due to illegal bank activity. Such legal debts are things like continually compounding interest, which is illegal. Usury debt, in other words, where you go get a loan, say for $1 million, and it's a 10% interest, you would expect on $1 million to pay $100,000 at 10%, but you wind up paying $5 million interest because the interest is compounded over a 30-year time frame over and over on itself.
Money was imposed on us and pushed on us, and they made it important. They made us desperate for money to survive. They made us have to think about money every second of every day. Can I do this? Can't I do this? Have I got enough for this? How do I balance? They made money important. Now we're going to take that pressure away. So money won't be important anymore because everybody will have enough to get whatever they want whenever they need it anyway.
People need to continue doing and not change how they've been doing things. Not go out, take crazy loans, and bring up your credit cards because you think it's going to go away. Continue to behave financially as you have been until this is changed into law, because they will note that kind of things. Everything is being tracked right now by the quantum financial system, is tracking everything. And I'll explain what the quantum financial system cannot be hacked.
The GCR will be within the QFS system. It will use a specific quantitative formula to establish the amount of currency available in any country that is gold-backed by the QFS. The formula will establish a fair value based on the country's assets. The price of gold will become irrelevant once this is all complete. Included in the formula are in-ground assets, its population as an asset, and other parameters. This formula will apply to each country so they can be on par with one another. This is the global currency reset. All currencies we will reset at the same time.
So are we off the grid?
Stark Tower is about to become a beacon of self-sustaining clean energy.
Well, assuming the arc reactor takes over and it actually works.
I assume. Light her up.
How does it look?
Like Christmas, but with more me.
We've got to go wider on the public awareness campaign. You need to do some press.
So this is what keeps people intrigued, because there are little bits of the story that keeps everybody engaged, and they want to know more, because we're about to change everything.
We are the armies of the living God. Know who you are and whose you are. Go back to your neighborhood and fight. We are magistrates. Let me hear you. We are magistrates. We are magistrates.
Yes, I did. Remember when I told you about the New World Order? Remember that? Remember when I told you about the chemtrails in the sky? Remember when I told you that NASA was full of lies? Remember when I told you about the ultra mind control? Well, I just want to say that I told you so, yeah. Remember when I told you about 432 hertz, that is, and what 440 can do to you?